the fanboy in me can't help but get super excited for this, opening fight for the main card at UFC 274. The fact that we even get to talk about a Donald Cerrone versus a Joe Lauzon fight is pretty amazing to me. And, you talk about two legends and coming into their own here, but it's just so funny that Cerrone's been the more active fighter but lost so many fights in a row. Then you look at Joe Lauzon and what he did to Pierce. It's like, what a culmination of two guys. I don't like saying anything's lucky in MMA, but for Joe Lauzon to put on that kind of performance after, not being around for so long is pretty amazing to me. And now you're getting a fight between two guys who, if I think back to Joe Lauzon and the way he fought in his prime, it's just such a good grappler. It's where he made his name. But then the improving striking, right? Him and Jim Miller, two guys who I love to watch tango more than anything in the world. Those guys can make you smile, or lack thereof, depending on who you are. But they gave it their all. And these three guys, Jim Miller, Donald Cerrone, Joe Lauzon, their highlight reel tape, their resume for the UFC is probably the reason why you'll never see any of them not be part of the organization. They've just done so much to help build this name, and opening the card on a stacked UFC 274 main card is kind of, a good trophy for both of them, right? Now, let's break this fight down as best as we can. I think that Donald Cerrone's footwork and kickboxing is where Cerrone deserves to be a favorite. I think that the striking difference here is a big deal. I think that Joe Lauzon is always pushing forward and looking to grapple and find ways to the ground. And do I think he can keep Donald Cerrone on the ground? 100%. I think that Lauzon's brain has always been a step ahead. He might not be the most athletic guy. He might not be the most well-versed MMA fighter, but his IQ is what has always kept him in fights. His durability, his heart. He's just stupid exciting and just finds ways to always keep himself in a fight. And I think in this one, you just might see that prototypical Joe Lauzon, who starts to eat a lot of these kickboxing combos early in the fight, but then finds ways to get on a tired Donald Cerrone, finds ways to force him to grapple. And don't forget, Joe Lauzon has improved so much as a striker where he's still gotten, some good knockouts under his belt. So that's what makes this fight so exciting, right? You have that grappler striker style, but it's like old school fighters, right? We've seen Donald Cerrone come out with a few submission opportunities and get some big wins. We've seen guys like Joe Lauzon throw big shots. And so that's what happens when you do this for so long. You just happen to get good a little bit everywhere. And that's what's going to make this fight relatively competitive. But again, I think the kickboxing edge for Cerrone, the combos he'll throw, are what's going to help him do damage early. Both these guys have pretty good scar tissue to open up some big damage early on. And so I want to see Joe get that Boston boxing going. I want to see him be able to get in there, land some big shots. I think that this first round is really going to dictate how the rest of the fight goes, because if Joe takes too much damage, it's going to be a lot of catching up. It's going to be a lot of, maybe desperate shots, the way we've seen Damian Maia fight late in some of his rounds. But again, if he can avoid that kickboxing, maybe make some clinch work happen early on, get Cerrone to work for those areas, make him work to gain distance. That's where I think Lauzon's going to have his most success, if he just limits the distance. Avoid the kicks. I don't even think he minds getting to a boxing fight with Donald. I think it's the kickboxing where he just has to be a bit more, aware and close the distance and look for level changes, because that's what's going to make this fight close, and it's what's going to make it exciting. But I still got minus 150 here for Cerrone. I think the activity, the edge in striking, at least from a creative perspective and volume perspective, is where I really kind of want to give him the edge. But a stand-up war for 3 rounds between these two can still go multiple ways, I think. So let's keep it that minus 150. I think it makes the most sense. Ooh, no opportunity there to see that. Let's check a site here for a line just to get a good idea. Unfortunately, OddsShark does not have a Cerrone and Lauzon line, but here we go. Cerrone, minus 180 favorite. Lauzon, plus 140 to plus 145, depending on where you see it. So from an MMA perspective, very close fight. I think that both these guys have so much skill in their back pocket that it's very difficult to just be like, oh, that guy's going to win this way. It's just so difficult in a fight like this. So I'm super pumped for it, if you can't tell. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe. SookyMMA coming at you for all of 274. Keep it locked. Next fight coming up.